Hello, welcome to Hidden Springs and the Dynasty, I'll say it properly in a second, the Dynasty Chronicles, which is part of my ongoing legacy story. It's been beset by a few problems with me failing to keep up with it over time. It's previously been all on a blog, on the Blogger site. You can find links when I upload this video to YouTube, or indeed on the Sims 3 forums. My handle on there, my user ID is Ajaxpost. I'm easily found particularly in the store forum these days, where I hang out with the Daily Deal community on the store general forum. You'll find us in there with a lot of other good folk. Anyway, so back to my story here. I've inspired by a number of other people doing Let's Plays, and I thought I could perhaps have a crack at this, see if it was possible, see if my PC was up to the task, and it appears to be okay so far. So we'll see how long I can keep this going for. As I said, this is kind of another restart to the legacy story, which I occasionally got bogged down in and kind of left hanging for several months at various points in the story. The legacy started quite some time ago with Adam Slade, and that game and that story continued for 3 and a bit generations, right up to Cleo, the granddaughter of the legacy, the original legacy character. But I had all sorts of problems with the game then. It just became too big. My PC at the time really wasn't able to cope with it, and it just got very, very frustrating, and I came and kind of gave up on it. I tried to restart it with the next generation, Danielle Slade. Sent her to Lucky Palms, which is a wonderful world. If you don't have Lucky Palms yet, I do recommend it. It's a gorgeous looking place. Quite a lot of open space for building on, for customising it, and it just looks and works really, really well. You will have, if you've got seasons, you'll have to adjust the seasons. Obviously, you don't tend to get snow in desert areas like that, but beyond that, it's a lovely world. Again, I tried to get too complicated with that story. And it eventually got away from me, and I never quite sort of recovered the enthusiasm to keep it going in the detail I was getting to. It's just becoming too complicated for me to maintain. So I stopped there again, and tried to restart it in Aurora Skies, is it called? Which is another fabulous looking world. It's much different to Lucky Palms. It's much darker and greener, and it's kind of North European kind of feel. There's some issues with it in terms of snow and the ground levels and so on, but if you can look past that, it doesn't have a lot of empty space, I think, really, compared to some of the other worlds, but it is a gorgeous looking place. Again, unfortunately, I just ran out of steam with Damien, who I put in Aurora Skies, and left that for a while. But eventually I managed to gain inspiration again, thanks to the encouragement of other simmers in the community, on the forums, and I've restarted going back to Carl from the 3rd generation, sister of Cleo. I'd sent him off to Hidden Springs with his girlfriend in that original story, Malia. And I thought they made a really good looking couple, but I hadn't played Hidden Springs really at that point, so I thought I'd restart it there. So what I'm doing now, having not actually played this, I got carried away with another game and just again kind of fell out of the habit of playing Sims 3 for several months. So I tried to come back to it. And I thought, so inspired by other people and their Let's Plays, I thought I might have a crack at this, see if it would be quicker and easier for me to do, and it's working reasonably well so far in the tests that I've run. But what I thought I'd do first is just introduce you to this family, sort of set up the background for the rest of the videos. For those of you who haven't trawled through the dozens and hundreds of pages I've put up on the legacy, the whole legacy so far. So let's introduce them. This is their house. They've been there for a while now. The 2 main characters, Carl and Malia, are now elders, and they've got three daughters. I'll come to each of them in turn. My game is saving, so I'll just quickly deal with this, pause this, and come back in a second. Okay, that's done. Sorry for that. From various reasons, problems with the game in the past, I've installed the saver mod, which will interrupt the game every now and then to remind me to save it, which is it always makes me feel good when I know I've got a recent save. But anyway, let's get past that. So this is their little home. They've been there for a while. As you can see, they've got a reasonable amount of wealth so far. Nearly 74,500 simoleons. They've extended the house a bit, as we'll see. This is one of the pre-built houses on Cottonwood Crescent in Hidden Springs. And they've added some garden and this awesome little greenhouse out at the back, and they even managed to find time and money to find the fix-up car and fix that up. Anyway, let's have first off a look at the characters who we've got in the story here. So I'll introduce them in this video, and then we'll get into the proper plays in the next videos. So here we are. This is Carl. He's come back from work, which is why he's in his lab coat, because he's a researcher. If we go through his traits and so on, he's a dog. I'm a dog person. I don't own a dog, but I love dogs, and I've occasionally played with them. Not in this game. They take a little bit of care to look after properly, so I may introduce it again when I've got a single sim. But I have trouble coping with 5 sims, let alone a pet as well. This little we've got a reptile in here, which I'll deal with later. He's a computer whiz, and he's nurturing. This harks back to his backstory with his family. His sister Cleo had all sorts of problems in her marriage, which he was obviously deeply affected by. He wants to avoid all that, and he's looking back to the relationships his father Brandon had with his wife, whose name I've now forgotten. Never mind, you can look it up in the story. I might add it in the notes later, which was a really wonderful relationship they had, and with the kids. So he's sort of building on that, and he's really enjoying being a father and husband in this game. His career is a researcher, which I kind of thought when I picked it would tie into the Tinkerer lifetime wish. It doesn't really. So as we can see, he hasn't actually completed much of his Tinkerer wish, which is to master handiness and logic. He's good on the handiness, so he's fixed everything, but I've kind of let the logic slide because his actual job requires other things, like gardening. So he's probably not going to achieve that, and I'm not too worried about that. He's got enough funds. And if we look at Malia, his wife, she has indeed completed her lifetime wish. What else do we want to know about Carl before we move to Malia? Not a great deal, perhaps. He's fairly high in his job, but he's going to be retiring soon. He's getting to that age. Malia here. She's a self-employed gardener, and as quite good at it actually, hence the greenhouse. So she's making a fair amount of money from the job, and her lifetime wish was to have the perfect garden, which I've used before, and I enjoy the gardening activities in Sims 3, so I use that quite a lot, and so that was reasonably easy to achieve for her. And her traits, she's neat, as we'll see in the upcoming Let's Play. She's always tidying, a romantic. She's not terribly brave, which is well, one of those random traits we give our Sims. She's a green thumb, which obviously ties into the lifetime wish, so she's really good at the gardening, and indeed some of the happiness rewards she's got emphasise that. And she's also athletic, which is a kind of odd thing I threw in there, so we will see her occasionally demanding to do exercise in front of the TV, and I don't think, no, I did once upon a time have have some exercise equipment in the house, but that's all gone now. There's no room for it, if nothing else. Okay, so that's our parents in the family, and their oldest daughter is Deborah, and she's just come back from university. So she's just completed her first of, I've said she'll probably do 2 terms. We'll see how that goes on. I find university confusing and complicated at times, just getting through all the tasks and activities and turning it into a real student life, but we'll see how that pans out. Anyway, her traits, she's socially awkward. It's often the case, I think, with sort of the oldest child. They're very much the apple of their parents' eyes, and they don't always sort of relate to other people terribly well. So that will play out, I think, in the future more than now. But she's an artist, so she's got the avant-garde and the perceptive traits and eccentric, which also all kind of play into this. So as we'll see, she's actually made some progress as an artist, and we've made her a rebel coming out of university. She was getting into to wall murals and street art and so on, which is really good. First time I've played with that, so that's been quite fun. And a light sleeper for whatever that makes, so it's actually quite quiet in Hidden Springs, so that doesn't worry her too much. So she's that, and her lifetime wish is to be street credible, and she's going to reach level 10. She's only a young adult now, so hopefully we've got time to achieve that. So that should be doable, I think. We've already got 2 masterpiece murals completed from her time at uni, and various work she's done around the town, as we will see. So that's Deborah, and our next daughter is Dolly. She's still at school. She's a bit of an odd one, this. She's a bit of a tomboy, bit of a genius, so I'm just wondering where that might take her in terms of her career path. A vehicle enthusiast, which is always kind of a fun thing. They fall in love with their cars, which is a little bit odd, but why not? She's obviously a girl, so this is perhaps a little bit sort of non-gender stereotype, which is cool. And a daredevil. Now that's an interesting trait. I've used that before for the likes of firefighters and so on. So we'll see where that takes her. She's doing reasonably well, but one thing I've sort of played with her is collecting insects and so on. So she's the person responsible for the snake in here, which Malia seems to enjoy playing with, particularly for some reason. But well, whatever. So that's Dolly. She's doing quite well at school, and obviously there's not a lot to say about her yet. She's got a future to map out as we play through. And so far the youngest and probably the last of the children is little Desiree. And her traits, she's again brave. Again, this kind of actually sort of relates back to my own family. My youngest sister is a bit of a daredevil tomboy. Certainly was when she was younger anyway. Now being a parent, she's softened a little bit, if we can say that. So she can be quite fun, I think. Being a legacy story, she's kind of going to be a spare in all likelihood, because the story will likely follow Deborah as the heir of the family legacy. But we'll see what we can get Desiree doing as time goes on. She's been pranking previously in the game, but we're coming out of that now. I think she's growing out of that a little bit, but we'll see. Adventurous but disciplined, which is going to be an interesting mix of traits. I'm not sure how that's going to work, because it gives her perhaps a slightly wild edge, but then again focused. She knows what she wants. Which actually does sound a lot like my sister, but that's a whole other story. Obviously at this point no lifetime wish. She's still at school, is still a child, and that's it for the family. This is the house that they have. It's actually a little bit small really for the 5 of them. There's only 1 bathroom. so I will plan to upgrade this soon, and I may actually record that on video as well, just to see if I can do it. I've seen obviously other build videos. They're quite impressive. So it's something else new for me to have a crack at. Still playing The Sims 3. What is it, over a year since TS4 came out? And well, I think this game has got more of what I want to do in the game than TS4 has yet. So I'm still more than happy to be playing Sims 3. Anyway, that's that. This is just a quick intro, as I said. Well, reasonably quick. As you will gather if you watch any more of these videos, I do tend to ramble a bit, and it can get a bit long-winded. But if you're prepared to just to put up with that and follow me through these, I'd love to have your company on these, and obviously any comments or suggestions that you might have, and we'll see how this goes. This is the first time I've actually recorded a game, first time I've done any uploads to YouTube or anywhere else for that matter, really, videos, so it's going to be an interesting experience for me at least, if not for you guys. Anyway, thank you. I will leave this here, and we'll see how this works. Till next time, bye for now.